This music is too jamming. I don't want to stop the intro. Hello, everybody. Happy Thursday. Happy February, in fact. Happy Kyle in a flannel shirt.
This is my normal attire. If I'm not just wearing a worn-out t-shirt, it's cold enough to wear the flannels now, so.
Yeah,
no one told me South Carolina was hot.
How's everyone doing in the chat? Thanks for joining us again today for PinTech Live. We're going to be working on NASCAR today, the test car. Kyle has some fun mech stuff to show you guys as he is currently inhaling some smoke.
Yeah, I'm just trying to shorten my life a little bit. Hold on. Nope.
Yeah, we need to get you a fan. The problem with having a fan is it messes up the audio.
I do have a
silent
fan.
Fans.
There's actually a really big box fan over there that's really terrifying and maybe 35 plus years old. But
it's not on though, right?
It is.
It's
actually on right now.
I don't see your hair like blowing in the wind though.
Well, it's all over the place. It's on very low. Got that low pressure solder smoke removal speed on. So
nice.
I'm doing my favorite thing, removing the legs of Scanby sockets from a cool Williams speech board. This is one of my favorite boards because it's cute. It's really small.
Is this part of the show today, or you're just doing some busy work with your hands?
It's not. I've just been trying to keep my hands busy for 30 minutes while we were waiting to go live.
Gary Smith, hello from small town Indiana. Nice.
Wait, is that a real name? Small town
I don't
Indiana?
think so. I spent a lot of time in Gary, Indiana. I wonder if your small town is anywhere near that small town.
I've always wanted to go to Indiana. It seems
Daniel
like a
Costa,
really
hello.
weird place, but like weird in a really good way.
A small North Carolina. We're getting a lot of people in the chat. We finally got our Facebook back up. Restream was having an issue for the past few weeks. So, yay, everyone on Facebook's joining us and saying hello. Oh, man, Wild Man's already coming with his questions. It's like, before we start...
All right, before we start, what? What's the question?
All right, before we start, this is like before class, talking to teacher Kyle. Wildman asks, I have a quick question before we start. The main flippers on my Twilight Zone are not working. No.
That's
the upper two are working. When I do the diagnostics, I can make all the flippers flip. The flipper buttons are also reading well in the diagnostics. Once in a while, I can get the left flipper to flip, but it stutters a bit, then fails. I am not sure where to go from here.
Start at the source and go forward. Well, no. So the thing is, like, I'm trying to think of something that would link both of them together, right? It's like having one flipper fail. Having one flipper fail is one thing, but having both of them not work at the same time is something else. Plus, you say that it works intermittently. I mean, here's the easy thing, right? Check for voltage at the coil. If you have voltage at the coil, I need to look at schematics. I'm sorry. But we check for voltage, right? Look at your Fliptronic board. Twilight Zone is a Fliptronic game. Make sure that you don't have anything burnt or on fire up there. And I would also double check that you actually do have good switches coming in on the opto boards. For whatever reason, sometimes they'll report good, but sometimes they are a little dirty and you'll get like half signals from those opto things. So
yeah, but he says the flipper works when testing.
Oh, yeah. Huh. Whoa, that's a weird one.
Don't eat that.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have any sagely advice. That's a hard one for me to troubleshoot without looking at it. Do this. Take all of your ribbon cables off and reseat the ribbon cables between the driver board, the computer, and the one that goes to everything to the Fliptronic board. They work when testing, but not in game. Twilight Zone doesn't have a flipper enable relay, I don't think. I think only the first couple WPC games had flipper enable relays. That's a neat one. That is an interesting one. I'm sorry I don't have any sagely advice for that. That's odd. Because, you know, there is a flipper enable in the sense, right? Like, so the game knows that, like, okay, you're in test, so we can let the flippers work. But there is a flipper enable bit of software that says, okay, we're in a game, so flippers, you need to work. So generally, if something works in test, it should work in game. And right now, I've had a very long day. My brain, all synaptic bits are not responding. I can't think of anything why it would work in test but not in a game. That's interesting.
Gary said flipper switch. Does flipper switch have anything to do?
I mean, no, because it's, I mean, again, if they're working in test, then the game knows that you're pushing the flipper button to make the flippers go, right? So
what's up, Mr. Loaf?
Usually, I guess, like, the troubleshooting thing, I would say, it's like if you suspect the flipper switches, the opto boards on the those early WPC games, it's like if one side works but not the other, the easy way to test it is to swap sides, right? And see, it's like, well, if the right flipper doesn't work, swap the board over from the left side to the right side, and whatever result you have, you know, continue. But yeah, that's an odd one. That's a really odd one. I'm sorry. I fail.
Dang, sorry, Wild Man. And upper flippers work too, so.
Yeah, but that's different because the way it works is the flipper optos. There's an opto on each side. There's two on each side, and one of them will drive the upper, send a signal for lower flipper, and one for upper. So I'm trying to. I need to look at a schematic to really tell you what is in common between all of those. I wish my Twilight Zone was here. I could take a look-see, but sorry. Nothing off the top of my head. But again, it's like, look at your Fliptronic board, make sure everything's seated. Maybe you have a line of data that's not making it versus test to gameplay. I don't know. That's a fun one. Don't you love those problems? I'm sure you don't.
No. No.
We're going to work on something.
Kyle, where's your mic at? I was getting from the chat. Mr. Loaf said your mic was a little bit low. I have you boost it pretty decently on here, but
I'll put it closer to my mouth now. Hey.
Or was it before? Inside your shirt?
No, it was just like down an inch, you know?
How's that for Kyle's mic sound? I turned mine down a little bit too. Maybe that will help as well. Better. There we go. Less muffled. Thanks, Kyle.
Hey, no problem.
Good job. Look at Kyle's awesome NASCAR outfit.
This is not a NASCAR outfit.
We're doing a show right now. We're both kind of like in a haze. So if you guys noticed, head over to our website. We are doing a early Valentine's Day sale, which is free shipping for orders over $99 domestically, which you guys already take advantage of every week anyway. But also you can see on our front page highlights, we do have 8 highlighted products that we did a little discount on them, which includes something really exciting, which is our rubber assortment kits. So we don't usually discount those, but we want to tell you a little bit about these awesome rubber assortment kit packs. So I'm going to click over to the product spotlight right now, and we're going to zoom in on Kyle. Sound good? Mm-hmm. Colin says oh God, you need a can of Busch Light in your hand. Hey, TJ. TJ's here. Jonathan Bodge, too. Awesome. And a Miller Lite. Okay, Kyle, we're doing a product spotlight. Let's see it. Where's our rubbers? Dang, that's a lot of them. It's 122 pieces, something around that. It's a little bit different depending on if you get the white kit or the all black rubbers kit, which we also have on our front page, which is awesome. It's like the catch-all. Can you? Yeah, there you go. Whoa. Oh, wait, hold on. No sound. Hello? Say something, Kyle? Oh, weird. Do you have your keys in your pocket with your... The one time I get Glenn listening in on our show, we don't even have audio.
Okay, that might be working better. Okay.
Professionals.
Hey, now, okay, let's zoom out, sad. Right? We're on like a...
Can we zoom out? Let's go back to the beginning.
Well, let's also zoom back about a year ago, right?
Oh, that type of zooming out.
Was plagued with all sorts of issues. Terrible issues.
I know, it is a spotlight.
Mostly audio issues.
Watch
but
this.
Now,
just going for it.
We have like no audio issues anymore, except for today. Anyways, let's start over again. Do you have more than one pinball machine? The answer is probably yes, because you can't just have one. That being said, the other you need to have a rubber laying around, right? There's nothing worse than having someone come over and be like, hey man, come over, let's have a beer and play some pinball, and then you start playing and one of your rubber bands snaps and you're like, oh, that sucks, well I guess we can't play pinball anymore. No, you don't need that. You need to have a assorted baggie of rubbers because of all the reasons I just said. These are handy to have around. It's good for doing all sorts of work, replacing things here and there. If you don't need a rubber kit, why, have a weird assortment of rubbers. This is a good assortment of everything from the smallest rings to the largest rings, flipper rubbers, rebound rubbers, post sleeves, shooter tips. A good way to bolster your, toolbox and your home shop, right? Go ahead and buy a couple rubber kits for whatever your games when you go do your every couple year maintenance or something, but have one of these around because you never know when you will need something extra, or you never know when Bubba from Bubba's Vending Company may have added a couple extra posts and now the rubber kit that we build from the factory build sheets don't fit anymore. So having a couple extra rubbers is really handy. Yeah, that's my sales pitch. That's all I can do. I'm out of energy today, but our website, I believe, lists every component that comes in this multi-piece kit. So double check there. It's available again in white and black. I think the black kit comes with black flipper rubbers, where the white kit will come with red rubbers. So, I personally don't like black rubber, and I don't use them very often. So I do keep around a lot of white rubber, but if you like the black rubber, you keep games on location and you're sick of replacing your slingshot rubbers, well, there you go. You've got a big assortment of black rubbers for your location games. Handy to have.
Or you could be like Voo and buy it and use them as cat toys.
Yeah, no, the world's best cat toy is this. I have so many flipper rubbers at home that my cats will play with. I have one cat, my cat Sebastian, he will play fetch with his flipper rubbers. I'll throw them down the hall and he will bring them back to me.
He has his own flipper rubbers?
He has, yes, many. So last year when we were doing this show from my spare bedroom in my old house, I had like a rubber kit for whatever we were doing, roller games, and I think my Grand Prix was in there. And one day, he just walks into the room and like lays down 5 different rubber rings. I was like, oh crap, I forgot to close that door. Cats love them, but don't let them swallow them. Probably very bad for your kitty. So.
Oh, that would be bad for anyone to swallow those, in fact.
Maybe.
And so those kits are discounted. They're 10% off. So they are $44.95.
Yeah, there's no reason not to order a few.
Add a few more things to your cart, get free shipping, which is an easy $10 off. It's good to go. So
Store
that deal will be running all the way until Sunday. So this is a weekend deal, and the idea is get all the stuff you need to get your pinball machines ready for Valentine's Day. So on Valentine's, you can have a nice date with your pinball machines and just kick back and relax and show them how much you love them. And they will do the same.
I hate my pinball machines a lot of the time because they are always draining. So, you know.
You can't hate Baby Pac-Man.
No, there's no way to hate Baby Pac-Man.
Yeah.
The best game ever.
Mr. Loaf asked, are those traditional rubbers? Yep, they are the PRW brand rubbers.
Yeah, it's a formulation that we sell in-house. It's the longest lasting
hey Don, welcome.
And bounciest of all like standard rubber you can still get. I find the wear qualities on them to be very good. Even on location, white rubber is notorious for having a low lifespan. But all the games that I operate, I work for Marco, but I exclusively for a long time have only used PRW rubbers because they last forever. They're good quality, long-lasting, nice rubber. That being said, if you did want to try something else, our super bands are also a very... if you never want to replace rubber bands again, buy some super bands. You might have a little frustration getting them on some of your posts or your flippers because they are kind of tight, but those things last forever. And they do have very good bounce properties too. So.
And very awesome, vibrant colors, which is my favorite part.
Except for there's no pink. I'm trying to change that because we need pink. I think my TNA with its pink plastic protectors would look really good with some pink rubber.
Crystal said put them in hot water if you have trouble or leave them in the sun.
Yeah, I like to use a hairdryer.
So you warm up the super bands before you put them on the flipper?
Yeah, warm rubber works pretty good. Warm water, but the thing is the water makes them slippery. So sometimes when you're really trying to force the thing over a flipper bat, it makes it harder because they're softer, but they're harder. My favorite way to do it is with a hairdryer. Hold it far enough away, get it nice and pliable, and then slip it over really quick.
But that's just for the super bands, right? Not
Super bands are just tight.
PRW rubbers, you don't want to put any water on them, right?
You don't need to. The PRW rubbers are rubber. Super bands are they're a synthetic rubber. Not silicone, but a synthetic rubber that will, they're stiffer, they're harder to stretch. The flipper bands especially.
They're polyurethane.
Yeah, okay, yeah, we'll talk about it then. Yeah, it's polyurethane. Sometimes you want to,
thanks guys.
Sometimes you want to upsize them one size, like in some applications like where you would use a 1-inch rubber, you might want to use a 1.5. Just because they are tight, but yeah, experiment. They're fun. I use them on location games, or I'll use them a lot. The super bands that I really like are definitely the post sleeves. I also really like the 5/16, the smaller rubbers, because those tend to get beat to oblivion real quick. And again, the worst thing is getting your location saying it's like, hey, it's got a broken rubber, and then you go, then it's just one of those damn 5/16 teeny rings, and okay.
Oh, yeah. This is some deep rubber talk, yeah.
Well, let's also talk about this too, just for everyone who's here and listening. The way that the super bands are molded is it's like two halves of a bagel, right? So the molds are, one side is curved and then the other side is curved, and then they get pressed together. On some of these smaller rings, I believe everything 1 inch and smaller, you get half a bagel. They are too small to combine. So we get a lot of calls and a lot of people asking, it's like, wait, I think you sent me bad super bands. No, that's just how they are. When you put those on, the best practice is to orient them so they're not any rubber you want to install with them out without them being twisted, but when you put those super bands on, right, imagine the shape. It's a round top, and then it comes to a extent, and then it's flat. You want to make sure that the widest part, again, is the widest bit around the post. You don't want them to be all twisted or, they just mind that. If you've ever installed them, you'll know what I'm talking about.
And we have Mr. Valansky in the chat. Honored to have him here with us.
Always.
It's
David
awesome.
helped me fix my Grand Prix via phone the other night, so thank you. It was a good phone call.
You need to send him a gift basket.
Yeah, I do, of all sorts of cool EM parts. Anywho.
All right, well, Kyle, NASCAR. You want to give us a little overview of what we're going to be working on today?
Yeah, NASCAR is probably the coolest Stern game of the mid-2000s era, next to Tron and Lord of the Rings. It just suffers from a theme that some people might put off. NASCAR is a really good game. I really like using this game to teach people who maybe don't understand pinball rules, because it's actually a very clear and easy game to figure out like what you're supposed to do. NASCAR is cool. Let's throw the Sony camera on. NASCAR is a game that was designed by Pat Lawler. So after Williams closed, Pat started his own design company and designed a few games. I think like Roller Coaster Tycoon and Monopoly were the first two games he did for Stern, and then NASCAR came out. And I guess I'd like to ask Pat or hear the story, but I feel like this game, like kind of like with Twilight Zone, it was just like, hey Pat, here's a check, make the coolest game you possibly can, because this game's insane. You know, if you really start paying attention to pinball games, you notice that a lot of stuff is cut and paste. You take a lot of interesting devices and put them in different places to make a new game. NASCAR has an extraordinary amount of unique stuff that really was never used again. The mechanism we will be working on is one of those things. It's the test car. Some notable things about the game, though. It has...
Can you bring your handheld camera over there so we can get that awesome close in view?
Yeah, it's neat to look at from underneath, but I mean, some of the notable things about this game, the whole thing's notable. It's an awesome game. But it's got magnets. So when you launch the ball, it gets caught by some magnets up here, similar to, what's it called? Getaway and more modern Star Wars, to get that crazy launch effect. So the whole outside perimeter of the playfield is like a NASCAR, oval track.
Yeah.
So the balls will vroom, vroom, vroom. There's super neat, these diverters that will slap open to launch the ball into play. There's one to launch it into play here, as well as one to launch it here into pit. Oh, hold on, my cords are caught. There's one here to launch it into pit road. It's got this really neat mechanism up here. It's super basic, but it's super elegant. I mean, this is the beauty of...
It's a board? Wow.
Yeah, this is an opto.
It's so tiny.
But what it does is this is where
it'll
stage the balls here, right? So you've got one opto here for ball 1, ball 2, ball 3, but it's got this neat post system where it's just two like up posts that it'll pull down to shoot the ball out into the track to start it going around, or another one here to dribble it down back to the flipper. And again, these are all like devices that were never ever used again. It's really fascinating. There's a motorized car in here that spins around to either reject the shot down into the pit for a lock shot, or to send it back over, or just to bash the car in some modes. There's a neat little relay coil that like makes this thing, move back and forth. It's just, things that you'd think would be priced out of pinball in this era of, pinball austerity. Another neat thing is since it's got this ridiculous bottom section, this has always fascinated me. I need to lift the playfield. This one's heavy, so I got to do it with two hands. Give me a sec.
Yeah, I guess I haven't ever played NASCAR, because when you're explaining all those intricacies, I'm like,
It's a really cool game. This is one game that I'd really like to get my hands on, along with Wheel of Fortune one day. But that's another story.
Oh yeah, I like Wheel of Fortune.
So the left side out lane drains into this subway, and the actual center drain drains into a subway also. So it has a coil just to pop the ball back up into the trough. I do not understand. I guess I should ask Gary and be like, what? When Pat gave you the bill of material for this game, it's like, what were you thinking? There's just so much going on here. This thing has such a crazy build list. It's pretty incredible. This is that up-down post dealio. It's just neat. It's a really fun game. And it's also a game that, like most Pat Lawler titles, is a maintenance hog. There are a lot of things on this game that do wear out. This was a pretty popular game. It sold well. They've all been operated to oblivion, and things fail. The notable thing on this game is this really complicated test car assembly. It's really awesome. It's not that hard. It's really not that hard to fix. And this one has a really silly error that is very simple to fix. It's been broken for a long time, so it's my job to fix it. But it's not as hard to take this thing apart when you know what you're doing. And I've done a lot of these because, for whatever reason, games always come in like 2 or 3s. So when I worked with my mentor, Chris Kuntz, we would get this game, and then like 2 weeks later, another person would bring in a NASCAR for a shop out, and I've done this a bunch of times, so I want to go over it. It's kind of beat to, you see these normal hacks, you know, a wire fell out of one of these crappy IDC connectors and someone just soldered it in. My customer is selling this game, so I want to make sure it's going to be reliable. This is unacceptable. This needs to go. So we'll do some upgrades. The nice thing too, Stern had the foresight, unlike Williams a lot of the time, to make a lot of these assemblies, or especially this big assembly, workable on the bench. We've got 2 plugs here to unplug. I can disconnect this from the game, and we can carry it to the bench to do some R&R. We're unlike a lot of other Williams games, so that is nice. So yeah, should we start?
Yeah, and before we do start, Dee Valansky is reminding all of us, this is a very important reminder, the next online EM repair workshop will be in around 8 or 9 days. So if you want to be notified for that, so you can actually participate in this free and excellent repair live stream workshop, click his link right down there, the www.funwithpinball.com, learn EM Pinball Online Repair Clinic link that you see in there. I'll drop it again at the end of the show just to remind everyone to go ahead and do that. It's definitely worth it. If you want to learn about EM games, or you have your own EM games and you have some questions about them, you can sign up that way as well, or just as a guest like you're watching, learn how to read schematics.
Well, that's the great thing about it, is like, even if you don't have an EM, it's going to help you figure out how to read this stuff. It's really handy. Not only that too, but it's you know, you'll learn something. Anyone who knows more than you will learn things via osmosis. So go and listen to these people that are very smart, and you know, whether you care about EMs or not, if you're just interested in pinball repair, you will learn and gain knowledge. So that's what life's all about, right? Learning something.
Yeah.
That's what I think, at least.
Thank you,
okay.
Jackie.
So what we're going to do, the way to disassemble this assembly, we need to do both sides of the game. So we're going to start on top, and we are going to remove the actual car. Okay, also let's talk about symptoms. We will go over all of the things with this assembly while we have it on the bench. But I want to take it apart, and then we'll talk about that. The symptom is like this thing. I think it was in on a location for a while, and it just never, no one was able to fix it. But the issue with it was, in game, you will bash this test car, and then the whole assembly will rise, and then you will use this scoop as a mode shot. The game software is smart enough to know, it's like it was not detecting the car actually being hit. So the game just defaulted to having this thing up. These targets became the bash, and then it would still start a mode. Hey,
RV Flip.
Hey, to our French friends.
We get our French friends are here. Do you guys like NASCAR in France?
No. Okay, so that's the other cool thing. Let's talk about the other bit.
Can you bring the handheld camera up to that test car mech, though? Just because.
Yeah. In Europe, this game was sold as Grand Prix with a open-wheeled race car theme, because there is no NASCAR in Europe. Because NASCAR is born.
The test car for that one is really cool looking, right? It's like...
It's super cool. That's
super awesome race car.
If anyone in Europe wants to find me a Grand Prix, I will buy it. That would be the most ideal thing. So in Canada, in the US, this was sold as NASCAR, and I think in other export markets it was Grand Prix. So the symptom, though, was this switch wasn't working. What I found was that the actual bracket that holds the micro switch on this assembly was busted. So unfortunately, the only way to replace it is to remove the entire assembly. But that's okay, because there are some upgrades we want to do to this thing and some basic maintenance, especially since it's going off to a new home. You always want to do all that stuff in the shop instead of having to do it at the guy's house that you sold it to, or the customer's house that you sold it to. It's always much better to do it in the shop. What was I going to say? So to get this thing off, we need to remove the test car first. You need to be very careful when doing this bit. There is a very unique piece of hardware underneath the test car here, and you'll see it in a second. It is a shoulder nut, and if you lose that, this thing will not work right ever again. When you get I have seen this game where people have lost that or lost one side, and they've put like an elastic lock nut under here. It just does not work. So we will show you that in just a second. To disassemble that, you need a 3/8 inch open end wrench and a 1/4 inch nut driver. Be very careful. Again, actually, here, to be extra careful, especially when you're working on a game like this, because gravity is not your friend a lot of the time, put a towel down, right?
So it doesn't go into the scoop?
Exactly. So what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to shove this towel in underneath the car. That way it's going to land somewhere on my towel instead of rolling to the back of the game into oblivion. We're going to use our 3/8 and open end wrench here, and I'm going to break these. Wow, those are not very tight. I'm also dropping things. This is an aftermarket something or other. I'll figure out if that's attached well before I give it to the customer, but I don't like mods that are that flimsy. Is it possible to
get an angle on the handheld, like over the jackpot, like the 250K, 200, 150, like just plop right there?
Yeah, if I put the playfield down. Hold on.
It's got rubber feet.
Yeah, it's sliding though. Let me, hold on.
We rubberize those feet. Oh, put the rubber assortment kit on it.
You want the camera lower?
Oh, thanks for linking to that magnetic pickup tool, Midge. Comes in handy. Oh, that's pretty cool.
That better?
And then tilt up. Yeah, tilt up a little bit. Yeah, look at that. That's beautiful.
These are going to be a varying degree of tightness depending on if this has ever been worked on. These are not super duper tight. So what I'm going to recommend is remove the screw with your fingers, and you just don't use the tool. If you use the tool, you won't have good control over the nut, and I need to stress, do not lose these. Shoulder nut.
Let me focus.
So it's a 3/8 inch nut with a 1/4 inch like shoulder or something on it, and that fits up perfectly inside this bracket, which you'll see in a second. So I'm gonna thread these guys together, and I would put them in my magnetic bowl if all 3 of my magnetic bowls were not already full of stuff. So I will put it over here safely. Okay, we'll get the other guy here.
Hold on tight to it.
Yeah, no losing. Just the right day to be doing this is the one where I'm already like drowsy and delirious. So, all right, we've got both of those, and now the car will slide straight out towards the flippers. There it goes. Get your tools, and now it's time to go underneath. Nice. The shoulder screws, they fit inside the nuts rather. They fit inside this part of the bracket here. And that allows the card to wiggle just enough while still being tight to not fall off. to then
wow.
hit the switch, which is supposed to be down here, but it is not because it's hanging around because it's busted.
So can I replace that car with any little car I wanted to?
Probably not. Maybe. This thing is it's rubberized, so you can hit it. I think if you put like a little model car or something, it would start to shatter. But I'm sure someone has.
Any rubber car.
Yeah, where do you get rubber cars at?
Gary Smith asked, "Is this a Leaf? Is this a pit stop?"
This is a really in-depth pit stop. We're not just changing tires and putting fuel in the car.
Oh, Kyle.
Yo.
Leaf Carrot said your check engine light just turned on.
Oh, crap. I better go...
Everyone's got a car joke.
Get that checked out.
You know, oil change, too.
You know a really good tool you can have? I have an OBD2 reader that's Bluetooth, so I can reset my check engine lights if they ever come on. And when you have a 20-year-old, 215,000-mile BMW, that's a real handy thing. Thankfully, I don't have that car anymore, but... oh, sorry, there's my face.
Yeah, double check the focus on this Sony too. Is it on
you know what?
Auto?
Yeah, no, it's probably in standard or in forced focus. Let me change
it's just kind of like.
Sorry.
I had a few drinks and it's seeing blurry. Need some eye drops.
All right, let's eye drop it up. Okay, so we'll focus it. We'll give this. We'll use it as a wide shot. I'll just keep using the other camera. Okay, handheld. So what I did is we unplugged. The two plugs. You've got one plug here which drives. Wait, I don't know which one does this drive. It's a green. Okay, this plug here is for the coil that lifts the assembly up. This plug here has a couple switches and the drive for the other coils in the assembly, which would be the scoop kicker outer and the holder upper coil. That's the technical terms I'm going to use. I'll get this out and then I'll show you what all this crap does. So you've got, you're supposed to have more screws than that. This one's missing one. So you've got a screw there that'll hold the bracket in, a screw here next to this pop bumper, and then 3 more around the other side. Again, do this with the game off. You're danger close to some of these coils and switch contacts and blowing chips up. Don't do that. Again, look at, I mean, this coil was used somewhere else, but a unique coil. The way that this bracket is faced, they were not able to use lugs. So you've got a unique coil here for this pop bumper. Just so many weird things in this game. I just do not understand how they got the go-ahead to build it with this bill of material.
That's nuts. And now we are inside of the cabinet.
It's amazing. I'm going to get my magnetic 1/4-inch nut driver so we do not lose any of these screws. And I'm going to take them out.
Oh, Colin said the proper terminology is scoop kicker outer.
Yeah, no, totally. The scooper kicker outer.
Oh, this is a really cool shot. I wish
you don't need magnetic
camera to take this picture. That's not low res.
The nice thing about the magnetic nut driver is I shouldn't have to catch this. There it goes. This assembly does use a mixture of machine thread and sheet metal screws. So there are, I think there's it's either 2 or 3 T-nuts on this assembly. So make sure you're not trying to shove a machine thread or a sheet metal screw into a T-nut to screw it up, because then you're going to be real grumpy.
Are there any messed up ones that we can do our T-nut episode?
I sure hope not, because
what was it?
I don't want to have to take this game apart further than this. Okay, now we can remove the assembly.
Oh, here it comes. Oh, ooh.
Stuck on something.
Yeah. Jiggle, jiggle. Be careful.
There it goes. You do have a hook, right? So you need to,
wow.
You have to pull it up over the pop bumper and then down. I probably should have compressed the thing. It would have been a bit easier to take out, but whatever. Now we've got it. So let's take a look at it before we come back to the game. We are going to want to do a couple tests with it before we start taking it apart to dictate how much work we're actually going to do on this thing. So here's the switch in question.
Hey, do me one favor before you get comfortable.
Oh, move that thing?
I'm sorry, yeah.
Well, we're going to be back over here, but hell, I'll just move it. Hold on. Okay.
Super pro.
So we've got, here's our culprit. It's exactly what I thought it was. Well, not only do we have a switch, oh, you know what? It doesn't matter. We have to replace this switch because the lug that actually goes into the switch is broken.
Oh, no. So you have to replace the whole switch?
Yeah, we'll be replacing the whole switch. I'm trying to figure out what's going on here. Okay. We will be replacing the whole switch. What I wanted to do was we were going to go plug this thing back in and then see if this switch was still good. But since we've got this kind of damage, we will not be doing that. I have a replacement switch. Unfortunately, we didn't have the correct length switch in stock. So I got a 3-inch long micro switch. And what we can do is with hopefully a tool that I have in my toolbox, we can cut the actuator down to the correct size, or if you're very careful, you can pry the actuator off of this switch and very gently reinstall this actuator. So you do not have to cut the micro switch down. So
nice.
Either way, looks like we need to replace it. Let's look at the mechanism then. We've got one really critical piece, which is this guy here. This assembly,
I'm gonna go to this one.
This assembly is dropped via gravity. You've got this coil here, which is essentially a flipper coil, which will raise the assembly, which will then send the car, which would be up here, right, up above the playfield, and then revealing these targets in the scoop. In its downward position, you have this plunger here, which is another unique piece, which will pull in and retract the whole assembly, dropping it down just a little bit, which will then put this underneath the playfield and have this bashable, this being the car, right? So it's pretty, this thing is crazy. There's a lot going on here, and there's a lot of things you need to be aware of before and while you're servicing it. Read this very carefully and listen to it. You need to adjust this, you need to tighten this just right. If you tighten this thing too tight, you will damage the assembly. This thing works on friction on one surface, right? So this whole carriage is separate from this big bit, which is the bracket. This thing has one point of friction right here, and this is also where it's attached. So this thing has a bit of glide tape, which is like, it's a slick tape, which allows this metal to go up and down without, with less friction. I touched this earlier. There is a bit of the goop still on it. I've used super lube to re-lube the tape to allow for smooth up and downness, and it seems to work pretty well. If you're in a pinch, I wouldn't say you shouldn't use like some, thick grease, but it's best, especially if your game has a lot of miles on it, to try to replace that glide tape. I think we used to sell it. I don't think we have it anymore. I looked this morning. I could have sworn I have bought it from Marco at some point, but that was a long time ago. Yeah, other than that, I mean, it's pretty standard, right? You've got a micro switch here with the little Y, the Y-shaped actuator to hold the ball when it pops in, and then you've got your kicker to pop it out. But yeah, let's disassemble this thing, and I can show you a little bit more. Before we go on, also, actually, I just thought of something else. There is a service bulletin that Stern put out a long time ago. I think this is, pretty much every game has probably been fixed by now. There was a point when this bracket was breaking. This is the bracket that holds the plunger that will hold this thing up. I don't know what, I think the updated bracket does include like a better reinforced, more gussets, more oomph so this thing doesn't break anymore. I think that whatchamacallit, the service bulletin also included a new revision of the software, which decreased the strength of that coil or something. So I would double check, right? If you're watching this video and trying to be like, oh, well, Kyle's going to teach me how to do this. If your bracket does not look like this, you might need to look for the replacement part. I believe we do sell them. So.
We do. We do.
Okay, so when you're doing this, it's not worth your time to take this thing apart and not replace the plunger. You're going to want to replace this guy. This thing does end up
Thanks, Midge.
Getting chewed up a lot due to the fact that, this thing is sliding, it's resting upon that fine point and then sliding in, and you get to the point where this nub gets pretty worn down, and then you aren't able to hold this thing, and it's trying to raise and lower itself, and it breaks, and that's bad. So this one looks like it's in good shape. This is going to a customer's house. I do not want to ever go service it. I'm going to replace the $10, $12 part or whatever it costs. The way to get this apart, we are going to get our 11/32 nut driver. Let me put this down. And maybe pop the other camera on, Emoto.
All right, make you wide.
The above one.
Oh yeah, I forgot you had that. Look at that. You're so pro.
It's like you thought ahead or something.
Do we want to look as if Kyle's arms were our arms, or do we want to look as if we were sitting across the table from Kyle?
Stare at my chest.
Do we want to be POV Kyle, or do we want to be POV student? Carrie Smith is jeopardizing his career to watch PinTech. Thank you.
I mean,
Kyle's my favorite cam girl.
That's right.
POV Kyle from Mr. Loaf. All right.
Okay.
Oh, and M. Kuzelman. POV. Nice. So just imagine that those are your nicely manicured hands working on this NASCAR assembly.
Removing our 11/32 elastic stop nuts. Put those over next to our precious bushing nuts. You will remove the warning plate. Keep this aside and safe. I would like to replace this tape. You can see how it is starting to fray a little bit, but alas, it will be fine for now. Especially since this is going into a home, it will not be played very often. We're going to remove this guy, so lift up and pull it out. There is a slot in the other side of this bracket. How do I physics? See that guy there?
I'm gonna try to get it. Yeah, I'm trying to. Let me get it in focus. Where's the slot?
Nah.
Oh, okay, down there. Gotcha.
Ah, there we go. This slot right here accepts this guy, so it's a lift up and pull out kind of motion. And then we can kind of separate these things into two halves. We are going to be working on this side right now. We're going to get rid of this wire nut because wire nuts are, I guess this is a crimp nut, but it's unacceptable. We don't want that. We're going to repair this connection because it is very amateur and looks bad and will not hold up to vibration very well. Everything else looks pretty factory. We still have the insulator things that Stern put over the lugs of the coils on a lot of these things. Not too worried about most of the other connections, which is nice. Yeah, let's start with the switch bracket, I suppose. Actually, let's get some heat shrink. I think I have some in my toolbox. Let's fix this now. I don't like it. It's making me mad. I'm going to try to... I don't want to cut it because we want to always try to preserve as much length of wire as we can, right? If I snipped it even up inside pretty far, we would end up losing a few millimeters, and I don't want to, strain this harness anymore. But these are the things I like to look for to, especially I was taught to look for, to make sure you never need to go back to do service, right? You fix all the small problems first, and then That's a really good connection. I almost feel bad snipping this thing off now, but we are going to do it. Where are my flush cutters? Here they are. I'm going to try to get up high. We'll try to cut the bell off a little bit here. I can imagine, I mean, this is a pretty complicated assembly, so I can imagine that maybe someone, you know, wasn't paying attention when they put it back together. What are you laughing at?
Everyone is living vicariously through you.
Why? That's a terrible, terrible life plan.
Well, because we are all you right now because our hands are your hands as we fix NASCAR together. So Mr. Loaf said, wow, I'm somehow 7'3", I'm tatted, I'm married, my life is really looking up.
Okay, that makes me feel good, I guess. That's a different outlook than I've ever had.
Gary Smith says, I change my coils every 60 laps. No way.
Good for you.
Gary has all the jokes today. He's hiding under his desk so his boss can't find him. Retro Tech Studio said, fixed a NASCAR for a customer last year. Magnet for the racetrack burned out.
Ouch. That sucks.
That's crazy. How do you fix a magnet?
Never had to do that. I mean, you have to replace it. But unfortunately, in this game, I think that does really end up taking, like, it's a lot of disassembly to get to that. Where'd I put that heat shrink? Oh, here it is. Right in front of me, or right in front of us. You probably saw it while I was asking for it.
Oh, Jonathan Bard said uncrimp at a 90 degree.
Uncrimp at 90 degrees?
Uncrimp at a 90 degree?
I just cut it. I'm being lazy. Even though I said I don't want to cut it, but time is money.
Leaf Carrot asked you a fun question. How often do you wish the previous engineers left a change log?
Like previous repair people, I don't need that.
Yeah.
Like I can see what everyone did wrong a lot of the time, so I'm good at kind of diagnosing myself without necessitating having like a maintenance book or something. But they are handy. I was
a really good pinball detective, pinball archaeologist, and pinball. What's the other word you use?
I don't know. I don't think I deserve that many job titles.
Kyle, you're too hard on yourself.
I'm a pinball breaker. I'm a problem.
Well, when you're looking for the witness marks, is that when you're the detective?
I'm a detective.
Forensic investigator, pinball, CSI.
I played
PSI.
LA Noire, so that means I'm obviously qualified to be a detective. Doubt. Okay.
All right, don't breathe in.
Get out of here. Okay. We're going to butt these guys up next to each other.
Oh, Jonathan's tip was, with that crimp, you can recrimp just a little and then the wires come out.
I was thinking about doing that right when I was starting to cut the thing apart. I see what you mean, because what it was is it's a crimp, right? So it was squeezed this way. If I would have put my tool on this side, I could loosen them up and yank them out.
And then pull them out.
Yeah.
Then you just cut it.
That's what happens when you're in a hurry. Don't be destructive. Like me. Do the opposite of what I say sometimes.
All right, for those just joining in, what are you doing right now? And what part are you at the install? I'm
removing crummy work before we start replacing some wear items. So I got rid of a crimp nut, and we are going to heat shrink over that because that is the bestest way to repair wire.
Nice.
A mechanical connection is good, and that was a very good mechanical connection, but it would hurt me to see it leave the shop like that. Even if it's not, you always got to put the extra mile into stuff. I'm using the hot shaft of my soldering iron to try to shrink the heat shrink. I do not think I have a lighter on me. That's one thing I started to do when I quit
nice
smoking.
And controlled way of doing it, though.
Yeah, it works out okay. It can make your soldering iron all grody looking, but whatever. It does the job. Give it a good yank and see if it moves around. Looks okay. Okay, we'll set that aside for now. The last thing we'll do before we put this together is replace this IDC connector. because, as we all know, IDC is evil, and that's unacceptable. So we're going to flip this sucker over. Don't turn this into a jumbled mess. We're going to want to make sure we don't, wrap it in circles. This is the bracket we want to remove. This bracket is right behind the switches, so goody, we get to continue disassembling stuff to get to the screws, which are right behind these target faces. These guys are also bent, so when we go to put them back in, we want to make sure they sit nice and parallel to each other, because you all have the same OCD I do, right?
Yes. Oh, wow. Did we just get disconnected for a second?
What happened?
That was weird. I don't know. It just said, welcome to the chat room.
Oh, hey, welcome to the chat room. Thanks for staying.
Phil's Pinball is here. He says this is a fun mech to work on.
Heck yeah. It's one of my favorites. This is the coolest game ever, as far as I'm concerned.
And Mr. Baxter's already talking about his beer. And he's listening to us like a podcast.
Hey, that works.
Driving.
Okay.
He's getting ready for your beer 30 so you guys can celebrate together.
So let's see. This guy came out like this, and I'm just, it's always fun to, especially when you're on camera and people are watching you, to put things together the incorrect way, and you're like, oh crap, I have to take it apart again. But
remember when you did the flipper rebuild backwards?
Yeah, I remember.
That was fun. I mean, that's something I would do all day long. But that's a good reminder what Kyle's not doing. Well, he's technically doing. He's taking 30 pictures per second right now. But if you're doing an install or disassembly, take pictures of each stage. It will come in handy, especially if you just have to get up and walk away from it, and then all of a sudden you walked away from it for weeks and weeks and weeks.
Yes.
It'll be good to have those pictures.
Like
it's like
Indy
playing
500.
an RPG and then you don't play it, like you're playing Assassin's Creed and you put it down for 2 months and then you're like, what?
You need a recap.
Missions am I supposed to be doing? Yep, you can never have enough pics.
All right. Oh, wait.
Indy Pins called you out. Indy Pin said, I think Kyle has a new coolest game ever every week.
Oh, yeah.
I will agree to that.
No, absolutely.
Kyle loves pinball. He's very passionate. Every game is the coolest game ever, unless it's a game he doesn't like.
Someone asked that a couple weeks ago, and there's really no game I really dislike. I mean, there's some games that suck more than others, like Gottlieb Super Mario. That game, actually, if I hate one game, it's definitely Gottlieb Super Mario. That game is really annoying.
Why? Why is it annoying?
It's like in attract mode, Mario sits there and begs you to play the game. It's like, it's a really fun game. Like, come and play.
Like, it's actually physically annoying.
It's just,
to you.
Yeah, it's actually annoying. Okay, we will clean those maybe if I remember to do it before we put it back in. Let's also fix this because I said I wanted to, and we have a hot soldering iron, so why the heck not?
Nice.
Remember to not touch your... Treat solder like going out in public during COVID. Don't touch your face and stuff while you have solder on your hands. Even though it doesn't have lead in it most of the time, or sometimes, it's still bad. Nasty chemicals.
Oh, no, Indie Pins, that's mean.
What?
They said there's a horrible Pac-Man game that made you play Pac-Man in the middle of a pinball game. Oh, that's my favorite. I love Baby Pac-Man. Since Kyle has put it there to fill the void next to Led Zeppelin, every time we set up the show, we set up all the cameras, and then as I'm working on the layout, Kyle is just going at it, at Baby Pac-Man.
It's such a fun game.
But one day, maybe he'll sell it to me.
Never.
He says no.
I hate Pac-Man. I'm so bad at Pac-Man. Makes me really anxious for some reason. But I don't know. It's fun. That's a good game.
I love it. Oh, PC Handyman just finished a quick cleanup of the stern Rolling Stones.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
Chuck Webster just did a cleanup of his Rolling Stones and did a fun stream on it. And forgot, like, that game gets a lot of that was a game from like Stern's like semi-inspired period where the games were just kind of like they just didn't have like 100% of the magic. But I think that this like starting in like the mid 2000s is when that magic really started to come back, and Rolling Stones is one of those good treasures from that time.
Yeah, for sure.
That and obviously, you know, the Lord of the Rings and the Trons and the. I think a lot of those games I need to reevaluate because I remember playing Monopoly and Roller Coaster Tycoon, etc., and being like, eh. But now when I play them, I think they get unnecessary backlash. Okay.
Yeah, I think I've seen a Rolling Stones at Southern Fried Gaming Expo that was rethemed to a Goo Goo Dolls. Was
Really?
it Goo Goo Dolls, Midge?
Was it Stern Rolling Stones or was it Bally Rolling Stones?
The Stern with the, what is it, Mick Jagger that moves back and forth?
Yeah.
Huh. Is that who that is? Oh, I got it right. Foo Fighters, yeah, Phil. Wow, what did I say?
Goo Goo Dolls?
I don't know. When I say Goo Goo Dolls and Foo Fighters, like in my mind, I just see the same blank picture. I don't know. I can't picture them right now. But, you know.
I think I need to
times in the 90s.
Undo everything I just did.
So much sicker as Goo Goo Dolls, my bad. Foo Fighters are cool too, right? I think.
Foo Fighters
I forget
rule.
what songs they do.
Okay, hold on. All right, so let's so again.
That's a little opto board?
No optos here. We've just got micro switches.
Okay.
So we've got this switch here is what detects the car, and this is the guy that was broken. I guess I should have shown. You could see what happened, right? We've got a bracket that was supposed to have a nice 90-degree bend here, but over almost 20 years of bashing, it decided to snap at the weakest spot. So we are going to install a new guy here. Let's see.
So it's fixing that bracket and the switch.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, but since we do see the switch is actually broken, one of the contacts, this contact here fell off. We're going to replace it. And what I'm thinking is like, there's no diode on this switch. I think this switch may have a diode. It's probably mounted elsewhere. If I had the manual, I could show, I mean, 'cause Stern did this a lot. They did something called dots, a diode on terminal strip.
What's that thing back?
And switch, garage, VUC, whatever. I'm not concerned about it. I mean, we want to double check, but I wish I had the manual to double check. Hey, if someone's bored, will they find the NASCAR manual and tell me if this switch does have a dot diode on terminal strip? Please?
All right. Who wants to help Kyle with a NASCAR manual?
I don't
Not
remember.
if they're bored.
I don't remember. But I'm just going to start putting it together because why not?
See ya. Oh, Mr. Loaf's here to help.
Thank you. MVP today, for sure.
Yeah, we got to get Ty on the show. Ty could be me. Oh, but he wants to be you.
Who?
So then you can be me, Kyle. Ty will be your hands.
Oh, yeah. Dude, that would be great.
And I'll just do camera switching in the background.
Come on down.
Watching Kyle's hands is like watching a magician do tricks.
Wow. That's some real praise. We're gonna tin this switch up a little bit, dip a little solder here, not too much so it doesn't drip through the hole. I really should have the fan on, but I don't. I'm throwing screws all over the place. Okay.
Such small pieces.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. The Internet Pinball database doesn't have the manual on it. That's crazy.
There's an amusement company that does have it on their website. If you type in Stern Pinball or Stern NASCAR manual, it should come up.
Stern ball.
That's how I was looking at it the other day. Here's another pro tip. Have a manual for every game you have. You know what? It's really cool to have manuals on the Internet Pinball Database, etc., but there's nothing like a physical manual.
Oh, it's on the Stern site too.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, duh. Stern has all their manuals online, but you gotta have a physical copy. It just makes everything so much easier. I used to balk. Again, the guy I used to work for, Chris. He was always so adamant about needing manuals. You need to have a manual. Don't look it on your phone. That's ridiculous. I was like, whatever, Chris. And then, like, slowly I realized, like, oh yeah, he's so right.
Yeah, right. It makes
everything about having a real manual is really handy.
So you're just trying to pull the wires out of that?
Yeah, there's some heat shrink here, so I'm trying to pull the heat shrink down to expose the solder,
okay.
So I don't have to cut. I will probably put some new heat shrink on. I probably should have done it on the return, but whatever. Don't. Okay, here's something. I recoiled a little bit. This is under a little bit of tension. As you can see, it's bent like this. I'm heating up hot solder while this is under tension, and when it decides to go, this is going to spring up and splay hot solder all over my nose. Ask me how I know.
How do you know that?
It's happened a billion times. The glasses have plastic lenses and stuff like that. These glasses I've had for way too long, but I do have little burn marks on the corner of these glasses because solder has...
Oh, yeah, you wear protective lenses, so...
Screwed them up.
That's good.
Yeah, I'm going to take this off. It's not worth fussing about when I have some heat shrink already.
Oh, yeah, you do have a cocktail glass on your... finger?
Huh? Oh. Yeah, I've got a martini glass between my fingers.
Martini glass. What's the difference between a cocktail glass and a martini glass?
Well, a martini is a cocktail, I guess, right? So a cocktail... I'm sorry, that sounded really douchey. A cocktail could be many, many different drinks, while a martini is just one.
Oh, right. A martini is a very specific. So it's not cocktail. It's specifically for martinis only.
Yeah, a martini's a pretty dang good drink.
Midge said, all martinis are cocktails. Not all cocktails are martinis.
There you go.
That's hard to say. That deserves to be on a t-shirt, though.
Yeah, you could sell it at, like, beachside tourist shops and stuff, right? It's 5 o'clock somewhere. Anyways, there comes my...
Oh, Permonson's here and said, TESTCAR, worst design ever.
No! It's the coolest thing ever.
Man.
When you give engineers a blank check, they will do ridiculous things, and we are in the better for it.
Oh, what switch are you looking for right now?
It's probably car hit. It's a green, black, and white gray. I think green, black, white, gray.
You want to hear an awesome comment, Kyle?
Yes.
This one's from Mr. Valensky. Says, do you know what is more important than having a manual for all the games you own?
I'm going to guess you're going to say schematic, but I hope there's a pun to this.
Having a manual for all the games that you're going to work on in front of an audience live on camera.
There you go. Hey, now...
He's not wrong, Kyle.
He's not wrong. But David knows... No, I'm just kidding. I'm just disappointed in my customers for not having their manuals. Come on. Customer, if you're watching. So be gentle when you're prying actuators off of micro switches. This one's...
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to say this now. I mean, you see how this is ridiculous, right? This is a involved process. It's not hard. It's just a lot of time spent. This switch literally gets wailed on a bazillion, bagillion times a game. Replace the dang switch. If you're doing this, right, even if you're taking this apart to do this, just replace this guy, right? Maybe even replace the bracket. Do a little bit of preventative maintenance. But micro switches can be beat to oblivion. And you know what really sucks is making this thing really nice and then getting it back together and then in 2 months having to do it again because this switch decided to take a dump on you, right? So
that's smart.
I mean, I'd say, again, it's like I don't like doing unnecessary things, but I also like not having to do things twice when I can help it. So, you know, the guy I used to work for, right? I mean, every repair we did came with a warranty. And you, even as much as we would charge, and even still, as much as I charge to do this, you don't make a ton of money, especially if you have to go back and do it again. You're wasting your time. So you need to really try to you know, kind of think about projects. When you get to a point, start thinking about the project and how do I make sure I have more fun and more time and fun playing pinball than going in and working and finagling with stuff. Anyways, this switch has been eaten alive. It's probably going to be impossible to focus on.
Hold on. I want to focus on it. I can focus.
You've got 2 sets of actuator, or 2 pivot points. One set here, one set here.
Why is there auto color?
And
look at that.
This guy's been eaten up. So what you want to make sure is when we are trying to transfer this this switch actuator, you want to make sure you do not continue eating up the switch pivot point. They are on the bottom of the switch. It's thick. It's fatter here, and it tapers up towards the top. So when you're doing this,
we can't see it.
I'm just using it as an example. When you're doing it, you're going to want to pry up from the bottom and try to get it up and over that hump. This is soft plastic. This is metal. The metal will shave and screw up this pivot point. And if you do that, the switch becomes unusable, right? So just when you have your new switch, be very gentle and try to use the right tools. I realize I do not have my little pick. I left it at home. But sometimes with these guys, I'll like to use my dental pick and get it underneath and then try to wedge it down to gently pry this up. Even something as small as the little bench screwdriver can leave you with less than ideal results. So just be careful.
Yep, if you don't have the hook and scribe tool, they're only $3.14 this weekend.
Oh yeah, and they're on sale now. Yeah, you just buy them.
Kyle, do you know the 4 P's of pinball? Does anyone in the chat besides Smidge know the 4 P's of pinball?
Is this a MGM studio joke? Probably. No, I don't know, but I could probably come up with some of them. Patience, pestilence. No, I'm just kidding. What
poking, prying, punching, and probing.
Yeah, there you go. I love it. That's true.
It's the 4 P's of pinball. So Phil's Pinball said switch 40 test car and 39 car mech down neither have dots.
Huh. So this didn't have a diode on it.
Oh, is that what diodes are dots? I was like, no, my next question was going to be.
Stern does something called dots, which stand on the manual. That's what they call it. It's turn the small camera on if you would. It's just called. Yeah. It's a diode on a terminal strip. So this is a terminal strip. They hook the wire up here and here.
Wait, where are you pointing? I can't tell where you're pointing. Oh, with your My
pinky. Sorry. So you've got a diode mounted to the playfield instead of having it on the switch, like sometimes due to a space constraint. So, you know, the manual generally is right. This thing is mangled. So we will install a diode because that is the proper thing to do. This switch is also super mangled, right?
Thanks, Phil.
Not only, yeah, thank you, Phil. I appreciate that. Not only were we missing, what is the order again? It's normally closed, normally open, and then common. So not only was this missing the normally closed, it was also missing the common. So this switch has just been super messed up. So I think I need to rewire it. I wired it in the way where we would do it without a diode, thinking it maybe had a dot, but it does not. So what we're going to do then is now I will wire a diode on the with the non-banded side onto the common tab, move this white wire over to the common side, and then put the banded side of the diode on the normally closed side. So that's something as long as I've been doing this, I can't remember 100% all the time. When in doubt, look at another switch. This assembly has many switches. We have it's set up exactly as I said it there. The green, the column goes in the middle, the row goes on the common. The row's signal is sent through the non-banded side of the diode, right? Because the band is the dam. Things can't go this way, but things attached to the non-banded side will flow that way. So that's how it completes the circuit. Let me go find a diode. I'm going to go grab my parts box really quick, which has a bazillion diodes. And I will not bring a bazillion.
Just did?
I will just bring one. If I can find them.
Not only do you have 6 fingers.
Here is a big bag of diodes.
Oh, no worries, Ty. Poggers.
Wait, what are poggers? Not the diode I want.
I know what pogs are. Are poggers the people that play pogs? Oh, it's an arcade game? Poggers on Steam. Take control of Bun Bun. What?
What
is happening?
Sorry, I don't need to put that away. We just got to get back to the show. Is this the right diode? I'm really blind, so I need to look at it under light. This is a 1N4007. Okay, so let's do this.
The search for poggers is nuts on Google.
I thought that was like a Twitch term. I thought that people would, I don't know. I don't understand internet culture anymore. That's how I know I'm old.
I see. Poggers is a word that people like to use on Twitch. What does it say?
And that is where we are.
It's a word used by the corresponding player when he is surprised.
Huh. Does that know your meme or something?
What? But then poggers also means something different on TikTok. And it's also an arcade game on Steam. I'm so confused.
We're off topic now. I'm going to try to wipe away the solder that I put on this guy. Nope, it's not going to wipe away. I want to utilize the teeny hole in the switch so we can run the diode through without having to like try to affix things.
Let's see here.
Using balance.
Good shot.
We're going to string the diode through. You know, if you do a lot of pinball work, buy a big handful of diodes next time you do an order from us. They cost nothing. I only carry the 1N4007 diodes. They're overkill. The 4004, I forget what the rating is on this thing. It's like good up to 250 volts or something instead of good up to 100 volts. So it's just a higher ceiling, and they are more usable in other applications than just switches sometimes. So it's a more universal choice. I buy them by the many. I didn't origami it very pretty, but I'm going to keep it nice and tight to the switch anywho, just because this is kind of a close quarters assembly, right? I don't want it to be hanging off and maybe have a little crack solder at some point and rotate and start to short against something. So
yeah, it's hard to really tell what you just did there.
I forced the little ends of the diode up and around through the teeny holes in the switch, you know, the contact blades of the outside of the switch. I quickly solder this guy.
No way.
What?
That's gotta be a joke. We're talking about Pogs. Kyle, did you ever play Pogs?
Heck yeah. Well, no, I collected them. We didn't play Pogs.
Do you know how to play Pogs?
No, I didn't know. I didn't know anyone that actually played Pogs. I thought everyone just bought them and kept them in their
That's tubes. What you did in the playground, like underneath the slide.
We just traded them. The skate shop in the town that I grew up in also sold Pogs. So it was a pretty cool place to hang out, you know?
Do you know how to play Pogs?
No. Yeah. You throw the big slammer thing down on the pile, right? Or something?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah. And then whichever flip up, then you get to keep. And then the ones face down go back into the tower.
Oh.
And it's like keeps forever. You know, it's not trading. It's like the real deal. Make sure you don't put your special Pogs in that tower.
Well, growing up in the early 90s, everyone was very special. We didn't do anything for keeps. We, when you put these switches back on, what I like, instead of pushing them down, sometimes I like to kind of rock them. So you get one side.
Ooh, can I see it on the, let me try to get it on the closer cam, because this
is going to be impossible to show, but we'll try.
No way. Nothing's impossible.
It is if you're lazy. I'm just kidding.
I know. Just aim the camera down. Look, watch this. These cameras focus so nicely from 5 states away.
Is that how many?
Nice.
Yeah, I guess so. So what we'll do is I'll try to kind of get it around one of the retainers and then gently slide it down, and that'll put the least amount of stress. Okay, this being said, keep it, I don't know the rules. Sometimes these actuators, the color of this is the tension of the switch. This is a medium tension switch. You can tell some switches, go pull out your pile of micro switches and click them, and you'll be able to tell some of them are much different than others. This has a slightly lower tactile strength. No, this one's a little lighter actually, but maybe it's just leverage. In some applications, you cannot use a hard strength switch. In this application, you could use a very stiff switch. The ball is slamming against this car and closing the switch. In a ball trough, if you use a very tight switch, you might run into the condition where the ball could be rolling just slow enough down the trough that the tensile strength of the actual switch will keep the ball from rolling forward. Is that being super anal and is that a weird case? Absolutely. Have I seen it happen? Many times. So be careful. I'm going to move this back over, and we are going to put this back together. By these, everyone needs to have more number 2. This is a number 2 by 56 thread pitch screw. Buy more. They're very handy for...
Sorry.
What's up?
Nothing.
They're used on micro switches all the time. And these things also sometimes are notorious for backing themselves out. And you'll be like, oh, I can fix this switch problem. And then you realize, oh, I don't have any number 2 by 56 screws, and you can't. So, keep them in stock. Actually, here's the part number for a very common one, the one that Stern uses a lot. It uses the Williams part number. But this is the size that's, oh, hold on. This is the size Stern uses a lot. 7/16 length, a 2 by 56, 7/16 screw.
Nice.
Get a handful of them and you will not regret it. Sometimes switches have the ability to, sometimes they have a oval hole where you can shift
I do indie pin
to change the actuation point. On this mechanism, it does not. So we are going to get in here and tighten this nice and tight. You need the right screwdriver to do this. You need a number 1 Phillips head screwdriver. Don't try to do this with a number 2 Phillips. It's like swimming upriver. It's not fun. Let's see here.
Hey, we had a quick question, a backtrack question, if you don't mind.
Oh, I mind. I'm just kidding.
Croatio, I don't know, asked, can you explain why you chose to add a diode when one wasn't on there originally?
Because all switches need diodes. But it's tripping me out because this one doesn't either. Hold on. Hey, Phil, can you open that manual back up? I think the vertical up kicker...
He's going to start charging you, Kyle.
Never mind. No, this one does. So the garage VUC does have a dot. So all switches need diodes to avoid like backrush of current because of the way switch matrix work. I'm not going to try to explain it right now, but all switches generally need diodes. Now, this switch that we removed, like I showed a few times, is pretty mangled, right? The two terminals where the diode would actually hold on to are no longer there. This switch definitely needs a diode.
Yeah, we don't see it.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Where's
this
Jonathan
is the switch
Bodge?
we removed.
Kyle, where's your monitor? Got it. Oh, wow.
It's missing two of its little solder points. So all switches need diodes. And yeah, we'll see it work very soon when we put it back together. Let us also...
What's happening?
Let's see here. Let's take this sucker off. Okay, so the way that this plunger is held on is you've got an E-clip. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to hold the plunger in place with my forefinger here. We're going to get our screwdriver. I need to figure out the orientation of this clip again. I think it's like this. My my auto shop teacher in high school used to always call these things Oshi clips. And you're like, D, what's an Oshi clip? What do you mean? What are you saying? And he's like, oh, because when you take them off wrong and they go flying across the room, you scream, Osh. So when you take snap rings and you take E-clips off, make sure you put pressure. Sometimes I'll put a towel over them so you don't take them off and they go fling and fly across the room, never to be found again. We'll gently take this.
Oh, yeah. Everyone put your bent screwdriver emote in the chat.
That is what we were using. So we take that guy out.
Phil said correct. Garage Vuck has dots.
Okay, thank you. This is kind of mangled, but I think we'll get by. I think I also need to remove the bracket. It's been a while since I've done this. Oh yeah, duh, because it goes circle to square. So let's do this. We're going to flip this back over. I removed the E-clip. The E-clip is backed by this Gigantor washer.
Go forward so we can see it.
Oh. And then behind the Gigantor washer is a spring. This one is mangled. I'm going to use it again. It's not. I don't think it'll have any ill effects. So let's flip this sucker over. I think, yeah, okay, so, no, you don't. I've made this mistake before. You remove this bracket from the inside. And this will allow us to remove said plunger.
Oh, yeah, you still got to replace the plunger.
And also remember which way is up. If you put this in backwards, it will not work. This screw is not right, or is it? Maybe it is. I'm not going to mess with it. It's doing its job, even though it's a little awkward. Take this sucker off. Now where the heck did I put it?
It's
Cleanliness is a crime, so don't stick
underneath here. Yeah. That was like a find.
It's a bit shorter. I mean, it has worn down, right? I mean, it is a wear item. I think in a perfect world, this would have been designed differently, but this is a very simple solution to a complex problem that just comes at the expense of needing a wear item. And again, this is an almost 20-year-old pinball machine, so you are seeing this thing wear out now. This was not a big deal back then. And remember, the shelf life of a pinball machine is definitely not 20 years. So I just had these made. Stern no longer made these things. They are available continuously now. So we have to remember that this is up. I will install it with the long end of the beveled side facing upward to catch this assembly. And we will reassemble it before we put the bracket back on. So slip the spring on, slip the washer on, get the Oshi clip, and hopefully you have calloused thumbs because sometimes this can hurt. There it goes. Make sure it's on there and it actually snaps down, which this one is not. I'm going to use a bigger screwdriver to put pressure on the top and get it to really crimp its way down. There we go. Put a round fastener and a square peg. That makes sense. Put this thing back together. It's simple as that. But as you can see, it's just a bazillion times easier doing it on the bench than it would be in the game. So.
Yeah, I can imagine doing that on the game. I mean, I'm sure you've done it before, but it seems like a big hassle.
Nah, this is I've kind of taught myself over the years that doing things what you perceive as the fast way generally ends up being the long way. So it's always worth it to. I've learned it's always worth it, if it's feasible, to remove whatever you're working on, because it's so much more comfortable to do at the bench. It ends up taking less time also a lot of the time. Where's that screwdriver? These are slotted. There's just not a lot of room here. I'm going to try to get this thing started with a slotted screwdriver, and then I'll figure out how to jump in there. Maybe I should have attached the bracket first. I think I should have, because now this is going to be a chore. Let me see. We'll just take this obnoxiously long screw out. Oh, wait, nope, that's bent. Huh, okay, I've worked myself into a little pickle here, but we can solve it. Where the heck is my open-end wrench? This, there's just not a lot of room to get a straight shot on this screw. Actually, there kind of is. Get it nice and tight. Don't tighten the first bolt down before you get the second one installed. You'll create problems for yourself. Okay, I don't think I mentioned these, but also be very, very careful about these little bushings here. These are critical. These are sticky. There's a little bit of lube on this thing that kind of keeps them in place. But these ensure that this stays centered while it's sliding up and down. So not only are these shoulder bolts very, very important, these are also important. What are we doing for time?
It is 4:36 your time.
We have plenty of time. We're going to do one quick IDC removal because IDC is evil and we don't like them. Let me get my IDC box.
Over to the game.
My Molex box.
I thought he would walk by there.
Let me get my little crimp and stuff Molex box. Throw this back in the game. I guess we could probably also take some questions, because this is now slightly monotonous.
Can you give me another shot with the handheld camera? Just for our viewing pleasure. Yeah.
I don't think I'm not sure if this is dressed right. I might compare this to the Dale Jr. I have in the shop right now. I have a feeling that this is probably supposed to be dressed like this, and I will dress it nicer. Well, if this is correct. I don't think it comes through this, but what we'll want to do is make sure this isn't free floating, right? We want to get this wire zip tied in nicely and keep it nice and tight to the assembly, because loose wires, especially when things are going up and down, is a recipe for disaster.
Makes sense.
Get our crimpy crimps, and we are going to slowly but surely stuff a new
Phil said we need an evil IDC emote.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, can we?
I'll add it to our list.
Steve can probably come up with something pretty clever.
Oh, Daniel says you have to clean the yellow target, Kyle.
Thank you.
Dirty targets.
Yep, there's no use in doing all this work without cleaning. Cleaning is important. Not only does it show that you take pride in your work, but everything looks so much nicer when it's clean, you know? Again, I always buy, 90% of the time I buy 20 plus pin or the longest size Molex connectors I can, and then cut them down to the correct size. It makes more sense. You can store one set of long Molex plugs in one container instead of being like, oh, I need to find a 9 now or something. Just a lot easier. So let's see. This is keyed. A lot of the times when I'm doing this, I like to key them first. It helps. Helps you keep track of what's going on. Sort of. Oh, and it's also in a Z connector. And I always want to double check to make sure that we put it in the way that's more comfortable. There is a way you can there is kind of like an up and down, and I'll show you what I mean once we jump back over to the Z connector. There's different kinds of these Molex crimp and stuffy guys. It's called a locking ramp. So there's like a little like protruding part. You can see it here. What camera's on? This one? I'll do it in a second. There's a little protruding part that kind of locks it in place. These connectors do not have a locking ramp, but it fits better one way than it would the other. You'll see soon. What we're going to do now, or I'm going to kind of quickly do this because I want to get this thing kind of back in the game and we can check our work and see what's going on. This is soldered to the pin, which is why I'm going to cut it very, very, very close to the soldered bit. I want to make sure we don't reduce the length of this potentially already shortened wire.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just thinking for a second about adding some more space or another section of wire, but I think we'll be okay. Anyways, anyone have any fun pinball stories to talk about last weekend?
Oh yeah, sure. Yep, because it is 4:40 and we are going to finish this, right? You could finish this in 20 minutes.
Yeah, I want to, well, we'll push this. I think I have a maximum until like 5:15 when I need to be done. But I want to get this back in the game and show, even if we don't like mount it in the game, just get it plugged back in. We'll check our work, give ourselves a pat on the back, and be done with it.
Leaf Carrot asked, have y'all ever seen the Olympic Games machine at Portal in the Atlanta area? Oh, they got a Olympic Games machine?
Which one? What is it? Is it Gottlieb's The Games?
Which one? I feel like I just saw. No, that was you. Yeah, I don't know. Oh.
I like that Gottlieb game. It's goofy. It's just called The Games.
That's awesome.
But
I love Portal Pinball. That's my stomping grounds when I'm back home.
I can't wait to go.
Yeah, it's chill. It's awesome. It's called The Games.
Yeah, The Games. It's a great game.
Wow. Dang.
The guy I used to work for had a appreciation for The Games, and we had a really funny one that had an old Chuck E. Cheese sticker on it.
Oh.
From the 80s.
Oh, wow.
I like to pull these things out of the IDC connectors. Then you've got like two little stripped bits, two little connections where the IDC... You want to pull the other camera up really quick? That's cool. I can use something as a teaching moment just to show why I'm picking up so many different tools. You see you've kind of got like two chops on this orange wire. I like to strip it at the closer to my fingers side of the chop where the IDC would cut into the insulation. So strip it back far and then cut like the teeny bit of material that's left at the end, because you know there is a correct length of how much wire needs to go into one of these pins. So cut off like a 1/2 millimeter. Find a 156 pin that is suitable. Get it in place. And cramp. The more I look at this bracket, the more I'm wondering if this is a broken weld. Yeah, it is. There is actually a broken weld here. I think it's okay. I'll show y'all what I mean when we get this thing back together. Mookie. Rude guest host.
He's sitting behind me, coughing up a hairball. Roller Pinball subscribed for 6 months. Thanks, Roller Pinball.
Whoa, thank you.
PC Handyman asked, do you ever solder the pins?
Never. If I don't have to. I mean, there are acceptable times when that is a good or a necessary like DEF CON situation, but you know, never. Always replace your worn out IDC connectors with a crimp and stuff Molex. Practice a lot so you can get it right. There is a good and there's a proper way to get these things nice and strong. but it's just always worth it. Good preventative maintenance.
Nice. Colin, yes, I got your homework, but I thought it was a joke because it's just this nice fluffy looking beer sitting on top of Rocky and Bullwinkle. I thought maybe that was just for Kyle. Oh wait, there's another one on high speed. What is that? That's quacktastic. Colin, you should do a stream where you just talk about beer and pinball, or like join up with the O'Neills for their beer and pinball stream. Everyone.
I still haven't made it to the bottle shop to see if I could find any of those delicious seasonal Bell's beers. I'll have to do that this weekend if I have time. But this weekend I need to get a couple more of my games ready to go out on location. So I'll be working on Meteor.
Nice.
Who doesn't love Meteor?
I know, that's Jimmy's favorite game. Daniel says, I have sold my Williams Fire.
Really?
Oh my gosh. And now he has to repair his other two. And Mr. Loaf said, selling Indiana Jones this weekend, and sad to see it go.
Which Indiana Jones? The Williams or the Stern one?
And then Jackie Rhodes asked, does Marco sell those connector kits?
This is something I put together, but yes, we sell everything that goes into this kit. I think we do sell some like small storage containers like this. But if we don't, I mean, I looked up like fishing tackle. I always like get like fishing tackle containers that are just the right size to fit some of this stuff in. And I keep one full of inline like 0.100 and 0.156, the two common connector sizes in pinball. And then the other one has the round Molex connectors. Like the 093s and the, and the 062s. And but we should.
Leaf Carrot asked, how modern could you make a solid state game from the 80s if you had unlimited time and money?
You could make The Beatles by Stern Pinball, which is an incredible upgrade to Sea Witch.
Oh yeah, that's a good example. Nice. I love Beatles too.
I do too.
As a modern, Sea Witch is great too. As not
Sea
so
Witch?
much. Yeah. So I guess the games over at Portal is super souped up. So brand new lights, loud audio, and color DMD. What?
No, that's a different game then.
Well, maybe.
Unless someone like made
the display is colored.
They're green, I think, on that game.
Oh, they're green anyway. Leaf Carrot. Maybe that's what it is.
Let's see.
Nice.
Or you could look at Spooky Pinball's Total Nuclear Annihilation.
Check it out.
That's a very modern 80s retro-ish game. Okay,
Yeah.
let me put this away. Make some room here so we can put this thing back together in slightly-ish record time. I'm going to have to, I'll double, triple, quadruple check performance on this thing. I might end up getting a little bit of my super lube and lubing up this strip a teeny bit, or using the lightest touch of like a molly grease to get it happy. But let's put this thing back together. We got to get this slit through there, kind of compress this plunger so it fits down. Make sure that these bushings are happy-fied. Make sure that they're nice and centered inside of this tract. There it is. We will get our warning plate, put that over, and now we will read the message. The first page in this manual tells you like how very much important this is. Tighten until snug and then turn off a half turn. So we're not doing snug like tight. We are doing snug like, okay, it's not really, it's like starting to tighten up. This needs to be pretty loose. I like to tighten them down kind of in tandem too. That one's just about got snug. use 2 fingers, right? Like, use like your built-in torque wrench. That's pretty snug. Now I'm going to turn it off a bit. We are going to verify that it has some smooth travel. And remember, when you're trying to mess with this thing, it's all done by gravity, right? This carriage is heavier than what this spring on this plunger can support. So, you know, when you're like this, it doesn't do anything. But if you put it up like gravity, it will fall down like it needs to. So that seems pretty okay. Let's turn the game on and plug it in and see if this switch is doing what it needs to do. To do that, we need to actually get the power cord out. That's a patented move. On these old Stern games, when you shove the cords back into the game, they sometimes have a tendency of getting the cord like wrapped up with the wires on the inside or around the transformer. So I would, oh, Daniel reminded me a while ago that I need to do this. Where's my Novus? I know I had like 10 bottles of Novus in this freaking building, and now like suddenly they're all gone. Give me a second. Oh, there it is. Right where I left it. Oh, that's a lot.
Oh, I missed that. DeWisp was asking which Bell's beer you were talking about.
It's a Pop Slam, right? That's the one that's like semi-seasonal, isn't it? I'm new to the East Coast, so but I'm very aware
Pop
of
Slam in all
Bell's.
caps, says Midge.
I want to try it so bad. Can we get that here, Steve, or is it only in the Northeast? Since I had this out too, just check the switch spacing, right? They're not crunched. No, that's good. Okay, the game needs to be plugged in. It's on. The interlock switch is out, so nothing's going to happen. It takes forever to find the pinballs in this game because, you know, they actually can get stuck in the trough a lot. If you get like 4 or 5 balls draining at the same time, they can kind of pile up in a way, or even just 2. One will drain through this side and another one will drain here, and they'll both kind of slam their way up and get stuck from hitting this coil, thus jumping in. This thing is, holy crap.
Oh no, what is going on right there?
There's just a lot of really bad soldering, but it's okay. That's why we're doing all this in the shop now before the new owner gets the game. So let's see. I'm going to put the game in switch test first before we plug this thing in.
So you reconnect it while the game's powered on?
Yeah.
Sounds so scary.
There is nothing wrong with it if you know what you're doing. If you don't feel comfortable doing it, I don't recommend doing it.
Hey, Kyle, do you know when we're going to get System 11 Flipper rebuild kits back in stock?
No, I'm not sure. I'll have to take a look. It's probably just one little goofy thing that's out of stock that might be keeping the whole stuff set out of stock. So I'll take a look. See.
Yeah, come on, procurement.
Yeah,
and also,
Ryan.
Red Knight, there should be on the actual product page a hyperlink that says email me when available. If you click that and add in your email address, then as soon as they do add stock into the system, you will get pinged to let you know.
Okay, I've got this plugged in.
Sorry, we don't have it right now.
Switches are going to report when pressed now. No solenoids will work, right? The solenoids, all of them share the same voltage connection through this one plug here. So we're all good. All of the drives are hooked up. It keeps beeping, like maybe it's...
Oh, yeah, I heard it.
Anyways, does this switch work? Yes. Okay. So now we should be able to put the thing back together and it will work flawlessly because everything works right the first time, all the time with pinball, right?
You're lucky. No, great job. That's awesome.
So this switch is a little lazy, and this is, well, not lazy, but it's being weird. This is real common for VUCs. I hate that term, but the up kicker switches, they get pummeled, right? The ball flies in here, the ball goes and smashes against the actuator, and it starts to mess up the internals. This guy is clicking on, but it's also like it's kind of clicking twice. That's weird. What you're looking for is when you put the okay, yeah, this switch needs to be replaced.
Oh man,
we're fine.
Almost there.
It'll work because the software is smart enough to see like, oh, I got a signal. Okay, now do. But what I can see here is like if I actuate the switch, I'll show this once we get it back together. I'm watching the display now. If I actuate the switch and click it, it comes on, but it goes off very soon after. The switch should stay. It should stay up for longer than this one is, I think. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's just an intricacy of the Stern system that I'm just not familiar with.
Thanks for joining us, Red Knight.
Anyways, let me unplug this. I'll turn the game off. We'll reinstall it, and maybe it will work.
Nice. So you have to swap it out with a new switch? It was a different switch.
Yeah, it's the up kicker switch. We'll see. Let's just see if it works. These switches can get, again, they get pummeled. So when they start to go bad, it's not worth hoping that it'll get better or exercising it. Sometimes exercising it, especially on Williams games, I noticed. On older Williams games. Is this a T-nut? Sorry, hold on. I need to figure this out. Nope, that's a wood screw. On older Williams games, especially ones that have been like sitting in, you know, someone's garage forever and, you know, you're trying to bring it back to life, you will kind of run into the opposite of the lazy lamp. You'll run into the lazy switch. And the lazy switch sometimes will clear out if you sit there and you actuate the switch enough times. But, you know, a lot of those things get like 2 chances, right? If it's lazy and then you get it to work, great, you know, but then if it stops working again and you can kind of get it to work again by actuating it over and over again, you know, if it gives you any trouble after that, just replace it. Switches are cheap and you need them to play pinball, so. Okay. That switch is not difficult to do while it's in the game. Would it be a lot easier to do while it's out of the game? Yes, but it's, you know, I'm not that worried about it. If I do end up needing to replace it, we can just do it out of the game. Or in the game, rather.
Nice.
Was this informative? I think this is one of the coolest things in pinball. So
do we get to turn it on and see it actually work? Like,
oh hell yeah, yeah, we'll do it.
Throw a ball at it and watch it go down.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Been waiting for this moment.
I need to go. I'll probably do a factory reset on it just in case there was a setting that gets changed. That like is a test card disable or something. Just as like another thing, like while I'm looking at them and they annoy me, these mid 2000s like Stern lamp sockets are annoying. They're awful. They're awful because they're old now. This has LEDs in it, but these things will sit there with an incandescent lamp in it.
Can you, yeah.
Hold on, let's do the handheld
grab
guy.
Your hand cone. Yeah, took the words right out of my mouth. Like, grab your hand cone.
These things will sit there with an incandescent bulb in it for a super long time, and then they get brittle. And then the little tabs will break off, and then you can't get them to sit in their little annoying plastic housing. I think this was good, right? When Stern did this, this was great because it is easy to change the lamps. They're easy to get to. It's overall very maintenance friendly, but with age and as plastic ages, it gets brittle and it becomes hard. So as you can see, someone here has installed a few standard lamp sockets, and that's exactly what I do when these things start to go bad. I think we sell these. I think you can still get, I know we sell the base. I'm pretty sure we sell these guys too, but you know, it takes almost as much time to just install a new lamp socket, solder, instead of pushing IDC crud. So anywho.
Jackie Rhodes asked, what's the difference in the IDC green / red, etc.?
Say that again?
What is the difference in the IDC green / red, etc.
The connect. So I think it's like it's a standard in the connectors, like in the industry. So I think like for example, like let's just say the green IDC connector is good for 16 to 20 gauge wire, and the red one is good for 22 to bigger or something like that.
Nice.
But the easy way to remember is just to not use them and use Molex crimp and stuff. So anywho, let's turn this thing back on, and we will enjoy it from this view for a second. I'm going to pull the interlock switch, and that's going to make it do a ball search. And this thing is trying to do its job right now, right? It just pulled this in to try to lower it. It's actually kind of fun to watch it from the top side. Hold on. Because it like wiggles and jiggles the car.
Yeah, we want to see that. That's
the car that's not there, but.
Wait. You gonna zoom in?
Yeah, hold on.
Ooh, it's so pretty.
This is such a good game.
I get the handheld.
It's trying to kick it up and down, and now it's gonna drop it down.
Oh, there it goes.
And kick it up. And then do that like 3 more times. So actually, really quick.
Nice.
I'm pretty confident that this is going to work. Give me 3 more minutes. I'm going to reinstall the car really quick because that is the important part to finishing this video.
Yeah, and can you put the handheld camera on the playfield too, and then we can watch this super beautiful last tightening of the car bash toy. Does the TESTCAR consider a bash toy?
Absolutely.
Did I ask you that before?
It is the pinnacle of bash toys, in fact.
It's the pinnacle of bash toys because it's rubbery plastic, right? That's what you said. Hello, James. Thanks for joining us.
Pat Lawler didn't do tons and tons and tons of bash toys in his games, but bash toys are an important bit of pinball, especially in the mid-90s when people realized that, I mean, the Williams games were kind of too easy. In the sense that there wasn't a ton of like risk reward in the games. So the bash toy was
dropping that link in there, DeWisp. Molex upon Molex.
Molex. Okay, let me lower this camera. We can get a cool shot of the car or something. Okay. Does that suck?
No. I don't know, actually.
Now, the way I put this back together, it could be due to the size of my hand. But what I like to do is kind of get like
Rudy was a great one.
Both of these guys on like 2 different fingers, push them up into their hole, and get this thing up and at them, right? Because it's kind of difficult because this thing needs to fit through the hole, and then you need to thread something into it. So I've always found that it's a bit easier to kind of hold them both in place at the same time.
Yeah, before you do that, give me that angle that you got last time on that 250K, because then we had this cool side angle and was able to actually see you pull it off. I can dig it.
You can see Baby Pac-Man just kind of there at the top.
Yeah, that's why I wanted you to go to this angle, so I could see Baby Pac-Man. Tilt down a little. Maybe. Oh, maybe not. That's just where the car's resting. Never mind.
But yeah, bash toys are good. Bash toys make the player choose if the high risk, high reward thing. And Pat just didn't do that very often in many of his games. I'm trying to think of the game that someone's going to be, well, this game had this, and whatever. I can't think of any, though.
Someone in the chat said Rudy.
Yeah, Rudy doesn't count, though, because it's a safe shot. You go and you bash Rudy in the face.
You're not really bashing him. I got you.
Yeah, you bash him, but it doesn't. You get the ball back, and it's controllable, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think this is easier if I do it on the other side, because my right hand is more talented than my other hand. So let's see.
Oh. Sorry. You should move the camera onto the other side.
Now you can't see Baby Pac-Man.
Oh, man. What are we going to do?
Look at what a great videographer I am. Okay.
Yeah, you're great.
That was a joke.
No, you did great. For real, though. And lighting. It's hard work. Oh, God.
do this over a towel. This is the part. This is the hardest part, is getting this thing back together. If you manage...
yeah, we want to see it tilt down.
Hold on.
Where's our camera? We gotta capture this moment of struggle and despair.
Is this the emotion that they talk about in film?
Yeah, and then in a perfect world, we'd have a nice close-up, slowly zooming onto your face.
As I bite my lip and
then cutting back to this, yeah.
Start getting pissed off? Okay.
We're all like, we want to see what you're doing, but you just need to tilt down a little so we can actually see what's happening.
I don't remember how I did this last time. I'm going to do this. Hold on.
Okay, this way works.
When I'm not doing it on camera, this is like a cinch. But now that I'm like sitting here trying to do it while the, 10 people watching, it's like a giant pain in the butt. Okay, so I've got one. I've got this one. I'm going to hold them in place.
We need a head camera, yeah.
Using my camera.
We could get a GoPro and put it on your head.
I've got a few GoPros.
Huh. Oh, look at this advice. CH Patton says, why not use Scotch tape to temporarily hold the nut end and then remove after threaded?
Because that is the smart way to do it, not the pull yourself up by your bootstraps and struggle through it way to do it.
Oh, yeah, that's the work smarter, not harder way. That was a good tip.
That is a great, yeah, no, really, that is a incredible tip. Mostly because I didn't think about it, and also because I know I can do it this way. But sometimes, without pain, there is no pleasure or something. Anyways, I'm going to make sure that those bushings are in their spot and get these nice and snug. Not tight. We're not going crazy here, but we're going to make sure that they're snugified. Because now what we have is a car that can move in its bracket.
Yay.
And I think we're going to be good.
Nice. Looks so brand new.
Yeah. Well, yeah, the targets are clean. Do something. Okay.
Whoa.
Let's, you know what? You can't really see it much from the bottom. We might as well just mess with it from the top. Again, we can do it from the bottom, but the problem you run into, right, is you need the gravity to let it fall down. So, I need pinballs.
It's so clunky. He's all like, blah.
Blah.
Here I am, up.
I'll just
blah,
continue using
down.
these crummy old pinballs because this game is dirty.
Daniel says, I think it'll work just fine, Kyle.
See, there you go. Look. You
Daniel
put 4 balls
approved.
in there, and they just get stuck. And they can't drain their way down into the trough.
Oh, no. Oh,
there they go.
Oh, there we go. My little gumballs.
But isn't that neat, though, right? I mean, you've got this side goes to the trough, which drains down into the kicker that goes up. This out hole goes here. If the magnets ever fail, it has a way to drain right back down into the trough. It's so neat.
Yeah, that's cool. That's crazy.
Personally, I think this is like the pinnacle of Pat Lawler games. Just the design is just so wacky. Anywho, let us do this. I will turn the volume down. Volume off may hurt earnings. You don't say. Okay, let's start the game. Or actually, let's do a factory reset. Hold on. Just to make sure that I'm not going to sit here and struggle with the fact that the car may be disabled. Go to the reset menu, and then I will find fact request installed.
Can I see? No, I can't. Wow.
Oh, it's also going to be loud now. So what? Now we can start a game. I think this game also has a problem with the auto launcher, but let's get the ball out into the playfield.
Yeah, it's really cool looking. Oh, he's got the ball.
So isn't that cool? It's thumbs up. Right now it's going to start a mode. Well, it's going to start light extra ball, so I'll hit it in there into the garage. Light extra ball. Now it's going to kick it out. So now, to get to the next mode, we'll need to hit it. 1, 2, up it goes. It's just such a neat mechanism. I think it's super rad. This is a multi-ball mode, so now it's going to shoot a bunch out. But
oh, gosh. Yeah, it's so spinning around from there. Oh, that's where they're ejecting from that. Wow. Look at them spin around and around. That's cool.
This game rules. Everyone needs to appreciate NASCAR.
This would be a good game to stream with like a nice top-down view.
I did one night. I think you were busy that night when we did it. We streamed.
Oh, no, I remember that night because you streamed it with like some other layout. And then I saw it and I was like, what's happening? Oh, no, that was the layout. And then I think.
Yeah, no, I think we streamed it with Bride of Pinball.
On a NASCAR layout. It was something.
We did Bride of Pinball's layout, and then I just slapped NASCAR over the Bride. One thing that I appreciate about this game
that's what it was.
Is with incandescent lamps, the light show is just so gorgeous. The way that like the
it is pretty.
They kind of burn on and burn off, and the fade. It's pretty cool. This game is new. I literally took this thing out of the box, so it's like. It hasn't been used and abused much.
Which one do you like better as far as overall aesthetics, the Dale or the
NASCAR 1,000 times? It's just so much cooler.
With the blue and stuff.
Well, that's the thing is like this playfield has art, right? I mean, it's goofy, but it's got some character to it. The Dale Jr. was designed more to be just it's a collector's item, right?
Oh yeah, I see. It's like
it just doesn't have any art. It's cool though. I mean, this was one of the first kind of limited edition styles of stern games, you know. But it's actually kind of neat too that this game, Pat Lawler Design Company, right? PLD, Pat Lawler Design. He worked with like his A team, right? The people he did all of his greatest games with. Pat Lawler did, you know, the layout and some of the mechanics. Chris Granner did sound, and John Yowsey did the art. Now, John Yowsey's art on a lot of his other games, I think, are better than NASCAR. But I mean, you're stuck with NASCAR, so how much can you do?
Yowsey. And this is a 2005 game, yeah?
I think so, yeah.
Indie Pins.
What were you doing in 2005?
I just graduated high school and be in my second year of college at Georgia State University.
Wow. You remember. I was going to say, well, I guess I remember too. I was almost graduating high school. But I was also in the process of getting kicked out because I didn't go to enough high school because I wanted to play video games. So then I got sent to... I
don't think that's related. I skipped school all the time and graduated with AP and straight A's.
They sent me
and I was at the arcade.
They sent me to a alternative study school where...
Oh my gosh, Kyle. Yeah, sorry. I'm like, let's go to your head.
I got sent to an alternative study school where I did school at home, and I graduated like 8 months early. It was great, while still playing a bunch of Star Wars Galaxy.
Oh, well, that's awesome. That's a good, like, they thought they were punishing you, but instead you got to finish school early.
I guess I was just lucky. I grew up in a place where they had the ability, where they realized, like, oh, traditional school doesn't work for this guy. Let's try something else, and it really worked, so.
Dang. Yeah, maybe Man, I would have loved non-traditional school. Midge, same here. Yeah, that's right. Well, Kyle, we're like 100 minutes and seconds over our 5 o'clock ending time.
Really? What time is it?
It's almost your time to go travel to get your cervezas.
See?
It is 5:13.
Oh.
So you asked for the exact amount of minutes you needed to fill that install. That was good.
See, I'm not that bad. I'm pretty smart.
In 2005, Daniel was working for Kawasaki. Working in Kawasaki service. That's awesome. In 2005,
was that enjoyable?
I was riding around on my Kawasaki jet ski.
I want to come. Did anyone learn anything? Was that a hyper-focused lesson like that? I thought it would be fun.
You had a lot of great tips that wasn't just NASCAR specific. I felt like I learned a lot, and I hope everyone else did too.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Phil, for helping out with that manual.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Loaf, for attempting to help us with the manual. And then bringing up the pod conversation. No, maybe that was Leaf Carrot with Poggers. Still not sure.
Hey, thanks,
Trolls?
Phil. Thanks for coming
trolls?
by.
Pinball, I think. So everyone, PT-TESTCAR is our free shipping 99 code for our domestic audience. And you can see that all weekend long, we have our pre-Valentine's Day sale, which is the 8 highlights on the front page. We knock down some costs on some items we think y'all would like, and then use the free shipping code for that too. You have all weekend. PT-TESTCAR ends as it usually does, 24 hours, but Pin Love, all caps, will be available all weekend long for everyone.
But if you use our sweet code now, we get more pats on the back than if you use Pin Love. So,
yeah, use our code.
Yeah, do it now. 24 hours. Come on, buy some rubbers. Come on, seriously, it's like you need rubbers. Buy them. Buy 2. Buy 1 of each set. Buy some scribes. Buy some NASCAR plungers because you want NASCAR.
Next week, Kyle's gonna set up his reference monitor so he can see how to aim. Jonathan Bodge brought that up a few times, and I'm like, God, I know. Hello, Jay. No, thanks for joining us. I always see there's so many people in the chat always, and you guys don't type anything. I didn't check to see if you were here, but that's awesome. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Shelter and Rot. You guys are great. Now Kyle comes closer because he wants to see. Dragor posted like all these cute emojis. Is that a chihuahua wearing a cowboy hat?
I like reading what people chat. I wish that I could read it the whole time, but then I couldn't actually do anything. What's better to service, Kawasaki's or Pinball? Yeah, definitely Pinball. My job before Pinball was servicing BMW motorcycles, and I can tell you I like working on Pinball a lot more than motorcycles now.
Oh, we love interacting with all of y'all too.
Oh,
just some Pogs should end the stream. I know if Pogs did come back, we will totally make Marco Pog swag.
Why don't we make them come back?
Should we just bring Pogs back?
Yeah.
But then we either play it by the 90s kids or 80s kids rules or the 70s kids rules. I don't know. Midge is doing something where they just stack up all the Pogs and then throw the slammer at it and watch them all fall over.
Dude, that sounds fun.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if South Carolina like actually contributed something to pop culture? Bringing Pogs back, right?
Bringing Pogs back.
Oh my god.
We could put so much. Yeah. Does anyone have their Pog maker still? Maybe I have mine. You know, you like crimp it down like a guitar pick maker, but it was to make Pogs with.
That's
you use like cereal boxes and stuff. Yeah.
What's a good logic tester? It's something that can do CMOS and TTL. I mean, anything really.
Oh yeah, Jonathan, now you're talking.
Yeah, I tend to use the logic tester every once in a while. But I guess like I've leveled up in the sense where like I can fiddle around with an oscilloscope and learn to do what I need to do, but I'm not an expert. So I don't know. Just a cheap logic tester that can do CMOS and TTL, and you'll be happy. Bonus points if it has a speaker, so you can hear it go from low to high.
Dang, Daniel's like the Croatian version of you.
Yeah, we're a kinsmit brothers or something.
Pinball motorcycles. That's what they do.
Oh, I'm gonna next time I get to go to Europe, I will go to Croatia, and Daniel and I can do a live stream in Croatia. He can teach me some Croatian words or something.
Yeah, that would be awesome. I'm gonna go.
I'd love to.
I'll be here and I'll manage the cameras for you.
Anywhere on the Adriatic Sea is extraordinarily gorgeous. So.
All right, what do we want to see?
Who do we have to raid?
On the Twitch, we have to raid. Oh, but Mystery Pinball Theater 3000 is playing Lord of the Rings. Talk about pulling at heartstrings.
We love Manu. We should always raid him.
But we also have Small Town Pinball, who's playing Iron Man, which I also really love that game too, as well as that streamer.
I guess we should spread the love.
So last week we did Mystery Pinball Theater. Oh gosh.
Let's go. Let's raid Small Town Pinball.
We'll go Small Town Pinball this week. Next week we'll go to someone else.
Yeah, that dude's awesome.
Paddle J said Small Town Pinball. Yeah, he is really awesome. And then I gotta go take my doggy out. Snack. Small, not snack. Town.
Thanks for joining us, everyone. This was fun.
Yay.
This is also the high point of my week almost every week, too. So I appreciate it. As much as hopefully you guys.
I just tagged on. I'm like so fried. Hold on. And then next week we are going to potentially work on, what was your idea, Kyle? It was something rectifier.
We're either going to mess with a rectifier board out of a later Bally game, like my Kings of Steel, because that thing is like roached, or we are going to work on Meteor. We'll see. Or maybe we'll work on Strikes and Spares. We'll find something before we start Jungle Lord in a couple weeks.
Yep. Sounds good. All right. We'll see you guys next week.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you.
I'm raiding. I hit raid. In 8, 7,
I'm washing my
6.
hands.
Do I have to sit here while it counts down?
Yes.
I'm always scared to end the stream and then we don't go over there. Oh, raid now. I think we're there. For y'all Facebook and YouTube viewers, thanks for joining us as well. But feel free to head over to Twitch. We have a fun community going on over here. We can do emotes on the chat and all sorts of fun stuff and raid other pinball channels. Sharing the love. Anyways, thank you so much. I'm sorry my dog's coughing in the background. I gotta go take him to the vet. Bye, everybody. Let's do that splash page.